The broadcast is live.
Broadcast is live. Awesome. Firstly, a big thank you to Trinity, who just sent me a text message going, how do I tune in? So hopefully she's here. We're just playing with our new technology here at StreamYard. So I'm hopeful that this is going beautifully live directly into our community for women in small business on Facebook. Yes, I can see. I'm looking at two screens here. So hopefully Trinity's there. Love our community of women. They're amazing. So I have lots of questions about cryptocurrency. I'm curious. I'm a bit nervous. I think I might also be missing out. I don't like to miss out, but I want to be informed before I put any money into cryptocurrency. And I must admit, there's quite a bit of well, for me, it's a little bit of confusion, I think misinformation as well. And I asked my good friend Dee Wakefield to come on to the community here and answer all my Qs so that you can also learn from the A's. And so please feel free to pop into the chat on Facebook underneath the live stream any questions that you have. If I don't get to them now, because I'm multitasking, I'll make sure that Dee comes back to you and answers you directly later. So a little bit of background on Dee, for those who haven't been able to read the description on the event. Dee has a very interesting background, which I'm going to share with you just now. So she started off as a chemical engineer in research and development of vaccines and biosafety level 3 laboratory. She worked for many years as a security officer. She has training in OSINT, which is open source intelligence, which I'm sure she's going to tell us about in a minute. In 2017, she started with cryptocurrencies. It's quite early. We'll come back to that. She has a keen interest in online security from a user perspective, not cybersecurity specialist or coder. She's quite keen to point that out. Password management, VPN, backups, crypto storage, and so forth. She started building crypto safety business in 2020, educating and supporting women, speaking to my heart, to get safely involved with cryptocurrencies and building their confidence with cryptocurrencies. Austrian-born, moved to Australia in 2008, lives in an eco-village in Currumbin. I believe your husband's also a qualified chef, you lucky duck. And she enjoys rock climbing and Aikido. It sounds like an introduction to a dating site. But welcome, Dee, and thank you for your time today. I really do have, I mean, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, and there are 5 burning questions I'm hoping we'll get a chance to answer today. So first of all, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Nicole. I really enjoy always talking to you and really love your services of empowering women. And that's also why I do what I do. And my crypto safety business is very much about empowering women get safely involved with cryptocurrencies. And as you said, it's quite a current topic. And I can see it just with the questions that I receive. And also more and more women getting involved. And that is something that I really love seeing, because obviously it's a male-dominated market, but it's changing, and that's the beauty of it.
Well, it's changing as we speak with you getting more involved in it. And I love the fact that you've chosen to educate the community as well, a community of women. So I'm very grateful for you for that. So let's get into these questions, because I want to make sure that, you know, as women, we are juggling multiple things all at one time, and we have to get on to other things. So there are 5 key things we want to cover today. Why cryptocurrencies make sense, buy and hold versus trading, central bank digital currencies are coming. What does that mean? Women in crypto and crypto security. So let's kick off with why cryptocurrency makes sense. And why is there sort of a nervousness around it, do you think?
Yes, so with cryptocurrencies, it's a fairly new market. It's not that new, really. When you look at it, Bitcoin came onto the scene during the global financial crisis. So we're talking that's over a decade ago. But it's been kind of more of a nerdy space. But until probably last year, we've been seeing more of the institutional money coming in. It's been still not in mass adoption, which is going to come. But on many levels, we are seeing a financial revolution, and it's come on very, very silent souls, so to speak. It didn't stomp in with a big fanfare. And the reason for that is there's different reasons for it. And one of them certainly is that the old way of transacting, let's say, some amount of money from A to B, has been through the banks as intermediary, has been very long-winded. It takes a long time. It costs a lot of money. And with cryptocurrencies, and I'm just using Bitcoin as an example, it's just one of thousands of them, really, but obviously the most well-known and the first one of its kind, that you can transact money from, let's say, from Australia to Austria within 15 minutes through a secure, fast, and trusted transaction. Now try that with a bank. And that's where the revolution takes place, is that more and more people are cottoning on that they can very safely and very simply and very fast use cryptocurrency for transactions worldwide. And the reality is also that everything is going from analog to digital. I mean, at our age, we still remember these vinyl records from the 70s, and some people still have them. But that's an exception. Nowadays, we use MP3s, so not even CDs anymore. And everything is digitalized. And so also money is going to be digitalized. And a lot of that already is digitalized. And we are using cards nowadays, or even our phones to pay. And so even though cash is still here and will probably stay a while, there will be new forms of digital money coming in, and people will be using it. And so there has been a financial paradigm shift, certainly also fueled by a lot of the institutional money now coming into the cryptocurrency market since last year. And you've seen the rise of value in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And that is certainly why people are more and more looking towards that, the possibility of diversifying some of their funds into cryptocurrencies.
Okay, and why do you think there's so much nervousness around it?
And again, it's because there hasn't been the mass adoption yet, and the fact that because of the regulators lagging behind, so cryptocurrencies is a new asset class. So the classical asset class is obviously you've got shares, you've got the property market, and then cryptocurrency coming in. It's still a fairly new market in comparison, obviously. And the problem with the emergence of new markets is that the regulators are always lagging behind. And what that also unfortunately fuels is a lot of fraudulent businesses. And that's where I believe a lot of the nervousness comes from. And I think people have experienced either investing into big, but then it actually went through a fraudulent business. And these are basics you need to be covering. So in terms of when you want to purchase cryptocurrencies, it is important to do it safely. And that's where the education comes in. I always say, don't rush purchasing cryptocurrencies, but rush into your education and learn about how to get safely involved with cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so on that note, you do have a short course that does provide that little bit of education to get you started.
Yes, I've got a free mini video series that at least covers the basics of how to get started. And we're talking, some of it is general online safety, because I think a lot of people haven't even that covered. And we're talking about simple things like password managers. You hear about people's Facebook account getting hacked all the time. They're using the same Facebook password for everything else. And so once your Facebook account gets hacked and they learn a bit more about you, there's a good chance that they will be able to also hack other accounts. And a password manager is an easy way, for example, to generate and store very secure passwords. And there is a number of different other steps to take if you want to be crypto safe. But again, they are not that difficult. It's all about education, but a lot of my clients, they are 60 plus. They can do it, so I know you can do it too.
So that's interesting. So the demographic of 60 plus are getting onto the cryptocurrency train. Why do you think there's an uptake there, or is it just the marketing and the people that you've been reaching out to have been more on that 60
I,
plus?
I think the reason is because of the uncertainty of the economy at the moment. People are looking to spread their risks. And we have been, and I think a lot of people realize that money is nowadays created from debt. So it's actually not backed up by any real value like gold, because it's been taken off the gold standard in 71. And people are quite worried about the debasement of our currency through a lot of the inflation. They've been printing money out of thin air, like there is absolutely no tomorrow, since last year when COVID hit, and that concerns people. And so people are looking for different options. Sometimes, um, for example, in Australia, they have been issuing the bail-in laws, which essentially allows the government to take money out of your bank account. Some people are not even aware of it, but those who are, they are obviously concerned. And when you deal with cryptocurrency, you very much own the asset. And that is something that a lot of people do like, because again, it has a lot to do with control. So much of the control seems to be taken out of our hands lately, and that concerns people. So they turn to cryptocurrency as a means to keep, at least to spread some of their risk, and also to keep some control over their funds as well.
Okay, great. All right. So let's talk about well, obviously your mini course is going to talk about how to buy it safely and how to put protections in place to protect this new asset class, this new wealth asset that we're looking
Mm.
at. Um, uh, I must admit, I've seen so many of the trends, and it seems quite fashionable. A new currency gets announced and people jump on it, and there's all this hype. And do you have to get in early to make it work for you? How much risk is really involved when a new currency comes onto the market? And how do we know what's a good one?
Well, so in terms of, and just to point that out, I'm obviously not a financial advisor. So I'm not giving people financial advice, and no financial advisor is currently really allowed to talk about cryptocurrency because of liability issues coming along with it. Because again, the regulators are lagging behind. So what I do is educate people about different cryptocurrencies, and also the difference between buying and between what's called a hodler and a trader. And so, and then I get to the point, talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies and why, there's, I think at the moment we're talking about 14,000 cryptocurrencies. Some of them are a joke anyways. But generally, there's different type of people entering them. So some of them are actually traders, and traders are day traders. So they use cryptocurrency to trade back and forth and hopefully make a profit. But more often than not, it's actually not really profitable for most of the traders, if you look at it. And I'm not a trader, and I don't want to trade. For me, the important thing is, and that's also most of my clientele, they are actually hodlers, and a hodler is someone who buys and holds. And the reason why that makes sense is because we're still at the beginning stages of a mass adoption. And just by buying and holding, you because of an increased demand for a finite commodity like Bitcoin, for example, the price will rise. So by buying and holding, you actually increase the value of your Bitcoin. And again, for me, when I bought my first Bitcoin, that was in 2017, and which is a while ago. And Bitcoin was obviously at the moment, I think it's about 70,000, and it was much, 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 much lower. And just by buying and holding, we haven't sold it. We haven't, if anything, we bought some more. That actually increases in value because of a lot of the adoption worldwide with institutional money coming in, but also even countries coming in like El Salvador, they adopted Bitcoin. as their reserve currency instead of the US dollar, and they will not be the first and the last country to do that. So a lot of demand on Bitcoin. Now, in terms of, talking a bit about FOMO, do you have to get in early to make a profit? Because there's still a long ways to go and the mass adoption hasn't happened yet. That's a very good chance still to buy cryptocurrencies. Some of them are obviously smaller in price. Bitcoin is obviously the one with the biggest value, with 70,000 at the moment. And the important thing to always look at when you look at cryptocurrencies, the use case. This is what really gives a coin its value. And some of the, just from my experience, some of the coins that I bought very early, and obviously you do make a higher profit than something that only doubles, so to speak. But then again, there's no guarantee with cryptocurrency. Bitcoin just last week had a drop. So what people have to understand when they buy and hold, the volatility in the crypto market is quite severe, and you have to expect even more volatility because of the fact that institutional money is coming in, and you do have a lot of manipulation through Wall Street in the price. So that's something that people have to understand. Having said that, if you buy and hold long term, then it's still not an issue. Say, for example, 2017 December, you would have just bought it at the top of the market, which was around 30,000 Aussie dollars, thereabouts. Then it dropped over the next 6 months, I believe, down to 4,000. So we're talking about 80%, pretty much. Now, you think, oh, that's hard to swallow. But, I swallowed it too. And we just, because we knew eventually where the market was going to go. And again, now it's actually double, even if you bought it at the height of what it was in 2017. So if you buy and hold long term, you will ride out the the short-term volatility of the market. And there's also one option to kind of buy more bundle options, because in a way that also evens out a bit the volatility of the crypto market. And in terms of coins, as I said, there's about 14,000 coins. A lot of them are jokes. I do know people who just throw $500 at any coin. Personally, I'm way too conservative for that. I like the idea, the blue chip coins, the top coins is from my perspective and from my experience, is a good option for newbies. But then again, what they buy, they really have to look at what they want to buy, and that their risk profile, and that is different for everyone. That's why the education comes in and why it's so important.
And that's interesting too. I think so. For me, I like the idea of investing in shares, but I'm not educated enough to know which ones are good. So many years ago, I invested in an oil and gas related company share, and I've just held on to it for 20 plus years, and it hasn't done anything exciting or sexy, but it's held its value, and it's gradually creeped forward, and through all of the volatility around the world, it's a solid stock, and it's just continued to keep pace and move forward. I'm now sort of looking at it going, it's lovely and it's solid, but I'd like to turn those shares into a cryptocurrency, just to be in a different asset class, to give a bit of diversity to the portfolio. And I think I'm feeling
it's
a bit
about
more
spreading
comfortable
your
and
risk,
playful.
because one of the things that people have to be aware, obviously, that a lot of the newly printed money, which really debases our currency, has flown in the shares market. So that's propped up quite a bit, and that's also why a lot of the clients that I have, they just look at spreading their risk over several asset classes, because you don't know what it's any market that's propped up can obviously drop. I mean, of course, it could go a bit further, but then it's good to spread the risk. So I think it makes sense for people to look at it, and that's what they do. Yeah.
So something that you've mentioned a couple of times to me when we've had conversations is around central bank digital currency is coming. What does that mean?
Yes. So what does it mean? Well, it's the Chinafication of the world, really, you could say. So what's been happening in China is something like, it's called social credits. And they have already implemented a central bank digital currency there called the digital yuan. So in Australia, that would be, instead of having Australian cash in cash, that would be actually an Australian digital dollar. And the Reserve Bank of Australia has announced, I think it was in January last year, so we're talking almost 2 years ago, many people don't know, that they are looking and investigating into the Australian digital dollar, a central bank digital currency. And again, with the times that we're in at the moment, is that control is an issue. So we're talking about centralized control versus individual sovereignty. And that is, again, why some people look at decentralized cryptocurrencies as a way to retain some of the control over their money. When you look at China, for example, and they have implemented the social credits for a while now, and they use the digital yuan to implement a very controlled financial system where they can cut you off if you don't comply with certain requirements. And also, that's one of the examples that I saw. If you, for example, they've got a very widespread CCTV system with facial recognition software that's running on there. And if you, for example, go on a pedestrian crossing over a red light, by the time you hit the pavement on the other side, you get a ping on your phone that they deducted your fine for you. And that is a lot of control. And especially when we're talking about central bank digital currencies, they will be able to worldwide implement policy changes very quickly. And that is something that people are concerned about, and I think very much for a good reason. And Edward Snowden called the central bank digital currency the crypto-fascist currency. And I think that's a very accurate term for it. It's 100% control and 100% transparency for the central bank and the government. And that concerns people. So people are looking for alternatives. And again, we're looking at decentralized cryptocurrencies as an alternative to this central bank digital currency system. Yeah.
Okay, great. So there's a lot to learn and a lot to be aware of, and the world has changed. And I guess this is why education is so important, and to be, to have a learner's mindset, to have a mindset where you are continuously learning, not overwhelmed, not you know not adding additional stress, but knowing that it's important to always be asking questions, to be surrounded by experts and trusted advisors, to take your time to make decisions, especially when it comes to spending your money in your business or in your private life and investing your money, and really do know that with the world changing, what we have believed and known in the past needs updating and needs some rethinking. And particularly as we age and the age of our business changes, we need to consider what is right for us at that time. And don't be overwhelmed, don't be scared. We have communities like this on Facebook. We have networking groups and business groups of people in the know, and there's plenty of resources and coaches and mentors to reach out to. So don't be nervous. Ask. If you're curious, ask. Send me a PM and I might find someone in my network who can come and share some of this information with us. So let's move on to women in crypto. And you did make the comment, and our research, I'm doing some research with some university master's students at the moment to dig a bit deeper into money and women in small business. So this is a beautiful, beautiful what do you call it? Synergy, collaboration that we've got here. So, tell us a little bit about why, in particular, women need to get involved into crypto.
Yes, so with women in crypto, we are looking at the market that's traditionally was quite male dominated. And when you look back traditionally, women were pretty much left behind in financial education and also the control of their finances. And from what I understand, that still in the 50s, the husband actually had to sign off for the wife to open a bank account. So that's not that long ago. And of course, a lot has changed since then. But the interesting thing was in a study they did in the UK. It showed that actually women are more open to cryptocurrency, but there are still less women are invested in crypto, involved in cryptocurrency because of their lack of confidence. And again, this can be obviously changed quickly by education, which is also one of the reasons that I do what I do. When I got involved in cryptocurrency quite a number of years ago, that was just on a investor side before I started building my crypto safety business. Was very much kind of a very new thing. It was some of it was also quite cumbersome and quite scary as well. So, and you certainly needed courage. Nowadays, it's certainly easier to get involved and get the education needed to make confident and informed choices. And crypto is very much an opportunity for women to take charge of their finances. It certainly helped me, and I'm building my pension fund with cryptocurrency, really. And that is the market is, because it's new, there is a lot of opportunity. And what you got to watch out for is the weeds, and be quite conservative, and that's what I'm in my approach. And again, with a bit of education, getting involved safely with cryptocurrency is not difficult. As said, I have a lady who is over 70 who bought her first Bitcoin not long ago, and was not difficult. And so there's a big opportunity there for women to take charge of their finances, educate themselves, and then get involved safely. And it kind of levels the playing field as well. So that's the beauty about it. And I
I
see.
was talking to two of the university students who are interning with me on this research project, and we're looking at the increased rates of women over the age of 45 in small business who are entering the poverty demographic. And it's really surprising to me, particularly here in Australia, where we have great support networks and systems and government and regulations to support women to take care of their financial health and wealth, but circumstances, we have divorces and superannuation funds not being topped up and not getting financial
Yeah.
advice in advance to make sure that they are
Mm.
planning for independent retirement, or at least if they're not going to be single and alone, they need to be able to support
Mm.
themselves, and who knows what's happening to their partner and
Mm.
their financial wealth as well. So the world is changing, and we do need to have,
Yes.
a multi strategy towards creating sustainable financial security. And crypto could be one of those that can help people with that. So let's talk about security. And I like what you said in the description of the questions that we're going to cover today, which was, it's not about how much cryptocurrency you buy, it's about how much you keep. Let's talk crypto security.
Yes. So that is especially uh, this is my passion. Like literally, this is my passion, and it obviously comes from. I mean, as you know, my background is also in security, so I always look at safety and security, and so there are so many headlines that you would read about someone who lost their Bitcoin because they threw away their computer where the keys were stored, and now it's a computer worth 260 million that's somewhere on the council land in a dump, and that's tragic. one other story, maybe quick here, that a friend of mine, her father bought Bitcoin, never told anyone where he stored it or how to get to it, and he bought it a very long time ago, and he died a few years ago. They could never find it. And I think at the time's worth, they didn't know how much he had, but even if he had just 10, it would have been a very, very, very nice sum. And so that's tragic, and it doesn't have to be that way. The important thing is, again, with your crypto safety, is that before you purchase, is to understand how you purchase it, right? And also that you do it safely, what exchanges to use, what I already spoke about password manager, for example, what general online safety you have to cover as well. That's part of it. So not just the crypto safe, but also the password manager, for example. Also backup. Backup is a big thing, which is important for people in business. So a lot of businesses have pretty much their whole livelihood on their computer. So what do you do if that computer just shuts down and you can't get to the data? And that is a big thing for anyone in business, really. And in my mini course, in my video mini course, I mentioned a software where you can, I think it's $56. It costs absolutely nothing, an external hard drive, and you are able to back up, make it what's called a bootable backup. And the bootable backup is pretty much a clone of your computer. And I've got a Mac, and that's the software runs on a Mac. And that's a really great way to back up and store the data that you want to have backed up in case something happens. And so the crypto security and crypto safety really has a lot to do with the general online safety, but then as well on where do you purchase your crypto, what exchanges do you use, how do you store it. For some people, for example, if they are, let's say, advanced in age, it might not make as much sense to put it on a hardware wallet because they're more likely to lose it, and instead have it on a safe exchange with a two-factor authenticator on. But these are all things that I cover in the mini course. Everyone is welcome to look at that. I just say my website quick. It's dwakefield.com.au. And if you scroll down on the first page, then you'll be able to sign up to that mini course for free.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And so I guess this is the how long is a piece of string question. But how much should we start with? I know you're not a financial advisor, but what do you think is a reasonable amount of money to start with? So if someone said, "Oh, look, I'll put $500 towards it," would that be a fair sum they can get started with, or do we have to have thousands?
Totally. You can pretty much start. Anything above $100 makes sense in terms of getting involved first. Of course, if you want to take it serious, it's some people, I throw 100 there, 100 there, but from my perspective, the $100 is really just to get your toe wet and kind of figure out how it works so you feel more comfortable. But really, when you look at it, I said some of my clients, they have funds sitting in the bank that do nothing. And one of the things, if they're too worried or too concerned about the volatility of the crypto market, one of the things that they can do is purchase stable coins. So there's, for example, the option of a precious metal bundle. And the precious metal bundle, you buy tokens that are backed up directly by gold, silver, platinum, whatever the precious metal is, which means they are less likely to be volatile. Obviously, because they are, that's why they're called stable coins, because they are directly attached to the precious metals. And so that's an option. And not just that, you actually own the precious metal. Obviously, it sits, whether it's in a birth mint or another bullion provider, where they store it for you. But it's a very easy way also to to trade back and forth precious metals, really, if you wanted to. If you had, let's say, a silver coin at home and you gave it to someone, then sure, you can do that. But if it's not that easy to change the ownership, because when the other person takes it, they don't know whether the silver coin is actually the silver coin or whether it's been tampered with. But you can very easily, for example, change the ownership of the silver token. That's very easy to just transfer the ownership. And obviously Perth Mint doesn't care whether you own it or I own it, because they still have the same amount of silver in their vault. And so there's different ways to go about it. But again, there's an option for everyone. You can start small, but eventually, and that's what I found with clients who started small, they kind of get a taste for it. They realize how easy it is to transfer cryptocurrency, how easy it is to buy and hold. And also some of them, some of the clients who bought their first Bitcoin last year, they are very, very happy about the growth. Very, very happy. And we are talking from going from 15,000 to now 70,000. So that's a really nice profit, obviously. Whether they realize it or not is a different story. But again, we've only started with cryptocurrency. So my last words in terms of cryptocurrency is to really, before you get in and before you make your decisions, educate yourself, look for security and safety of your funds. That's really important. Educate yourself about that, and expect volatility. Not so much if you use stable coins, that's an option again, but that is one of the things you have to know when you get into the market. So don't check every day where Bitcoin is at or where Ethereum is at, because you might get a heart attack. And someone who's been in the game for quite a while, for me, it's like shrugging the shoulders, like, all right, yeah, okay, let's wait a week. And that's how it works.
It's like when you invest in shares, you can't look at your share price every day because, as you say, you'll get a heart attack. You have to be in it for the long game, and it has to form part of a smart financial wealth strategy. Now, have you got a little bit of money to play with and have some fun in the market? By all means, do that. But if you're going to be investing significant amounts of money, or you rely on that money for your long-term health and well-being, then absolutely get some proper financial advice. So are there financial advisors who would advise on including a cryptocurrency into a portfolio along with shares and property and precious metals?
So what they started doing now is they so the regulators, again, they are lagging behind, but there have been some ETFs been what do you call it, approved. I know one of the first ones in the US is actually Bitcoin futures, which sounds like a good idea, but you actually never own the asset. And really, when you look at it at the bottom line, it's a gift to Wall Street, not so much to the small investor, unfortunately. From my perspective, and that's how I approach the market, I want to own the asset. It's as simple as that. And that means I buy and hold and I own it. And that, to me, that's what I help people doing, because I very much like the idea that you have control over your own financial assets and not someone on behalf of you. So yeah, that's my personal approach. Obviously, other people and also financial advisors, with the regulations still lagging behind a little bit, it will come eventually. But up until now, just because of liability reasons, they are not able to advise on it. And now Commonwealth Bank obviously saw the writing on the wall. You can now purchase cryptocurrencies through Commonwealth Bank. For me, again, I like using exchanges that have done it for a while and don't just come into the market because of desperation or because they see the writing on the wall. I like the idea of decentralized cryptocurrencies again, where centralized systems are taking a back step, and the decentralized versions are supported by the community, because I think that's very much where it's going to go, to a more egalitarian system, because of the fact that the centralized system hasn't worked for a lot of people, and pretty much the middle class is almost wiped out at this stage.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm looking forward to doing your mini course. I'll definitely be doing that because it's an area that I want to learn more about, and I want to be informed, whether I do or don't invest in it. But I do think it's something that each and every one of us women here in, the community really need to consider, in terms of long-term safety, health, wealth. We need to have some alternative currencies and in a balanced portfolio. So I'm encouraging everyone to do Dee's course. I'll be doing it. It'll be interesting having conversations here over over the future to see who's got any more questions about it and how it's all going. And I'm going to be sharing my journey as well. And what I've been learning as I go along. And Dee, anytime you'd like to post any updates on what's happening in the cryptocurrency and crypto security space, please share them in our community. The more we share and educate each other and support each other to be smarter and healthier, the better. So if anyone has any questions for Dee, please pop them in the comments below the video here in the community and she'll get back to you. And I've also put there a link to where you can sign up for Dee's free mini course on understanding cryptocurrencies and how to invest in those. Thank you so much, Dee. I really appreciate your time. Thank you to everyone here in the community who's engaging. I see lots of live eyes popping up, but not a lot of questions. I think people are a little bit shy, or you've answered all their questions and it's so much information that they don't need to ask any questions here. So thanks everybody for being here, being part of this, and thank you again, Dee. I really appreciate you saying
You're
yes
welcome.
to sharing
Thanks
this
for
whole
having
topic.
me tonight. Thank you.